Hey. My name's Zach Wienersmith. I draw a comic called Saturday Morning Breakfast Cereal. I'm not really a fan of it, but I'm more into XKCD. That's nice of you, though. It's a real honor to be here in Seattle at Town Hall. When we first started doing this show in 2013, one of the big ideas we had from the get-go was that we wanted to do a technology, big science show. And when this year we decided we could make it happen, there was just one city we had in mind, but San Francisco was taken. So we're here. But we love Seattle. Go Seabirds. But we're really excited to do a technology show here. I don't know how many of you go to real technology seminars, but one of the things that's weird about them is you watch them 30 years later and everything was wrong, you know? And so we have sort of an advantage here tonight in that we will be wrong on day one. And so you can look at this maybe 30 minutes after the show and be like, I can't believe it. I can't believe they thought that back then. But anyway, thank you so much for coming. It really means a lot to us. You know, it's always a risk when we go into a new city, but we've got a sold-out crowd tonight here in Seattle. And now I will give you to your host for the night, Dylan McConis.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dylan. I'll be your host for this evening. I want you all to know that this evening's theme of global science and progressive technology are themes that are very close to my heart as a historical fiction cartoonist who majored in literature. How many of you here study or work in science and technology? I'm in trouble. Well, this makes me uniquely unqualified to MC this event, which ironically makes me uniquely qualified to MC this event. Now, before we bring out our judges and presenters for the evening, it's my honor to introduce to you our keynote speaker. Matt Inman is the creator of global smash hit webcomic The Oatmeal. Some fans in the audience, I'm guessing?
Thank you.
He's also one of the dark minds behind the disturbingly successful Kickstarter card game Exploding Kittens.
That's right.
Which is exactly what it sounds like. You may also know him from the Let's Build a Goddamn Tesla Museum campaign, which raised, what, like 1.4 million? Something like that?
Something like that.
Among the many exploits he's chronicled in The Oatmeal, he was invited by Google to ride in one of their self-driving cars, which, how did you describe it, Matt? An adorable Skynet marshmallow bumper bot.
Yeah. I make a lot of Skynet jokes.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you're in good hands.
Yeah, I hope
Matt?
so. Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Thank you. As she said, my name is Matthew, and I'm the cartoonist and creator of The Oatmeal. As many of you know, I am not a man of science. I am a man of God. But I'm not going to talk about that today. Instead, I'm going to fix some problems. I am not a man of big science. I am not educated. I'm a man of pragmatic solutions to pragmatic problems. Some of these are very big, and some of these are very, very small. Some of these are middle size. The first of these problems is babies. They're a problem. Particularly the way we store babies, which is in one of these. It's open air. The baby is vulnerable to bats, tornadoes, etc. Babies are loud. They're incredibly loud. And we all suffer needlessly for their incredible loudness. This is a terrible waste of potential energy. This baby storage device is immobile, cannot move. And lastly, babies are highly vulnerable to lightning strikes. Do you know how many babies die in this country every year from lightning strikes? I don't know, but I think tens of thousands of babies. So I have a solution to this problem. You have a soundproof dome that you put the baby inside. Can't hear the baby. Baby's shrieks and wails are recorded on an internal microphone and then redisplayed on a growing red light in front of the baby storage unit. Furthermore, babies do not contribute. Stick them on a Roomba, and now they do. You got a poop pouch, and it also acts as a Faraday cage to hopefully eliminate the lightning problem with babies. Put some cup holders on there. And last but not least, my personal favorite, throw a cat toy on it. The result, happy cat, happy parents, and last but not least, happy babies. Alarm clocks are also a problem, particularly the snooze button on an alarm clock. It accomplishes nothing. You press the button and you get 9 minutes of crappy sleep that doesn't help you in any way, but it sits there staring you in the face every morning and you press it. So I have two solutions to this problem. Solution number one is you attach a collar to your cat, which is wirelessly connected to the snooze button, and when you press that snooze button, it emits a mild electric shock to your kitty cat. The end result being that when your alarm clock goes off, your cat starts beating the shit out of you. And over time, you won't even need the collar anymore. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, kitties are sweet. I like kitties. You're a jerk. Don't hurt kitties. And you're probably right. So I have solution number two, which is you got an alarm clock, and this alarm clock, you have to set it up first. And you input some data. You tell it when you were born, you're a smoker, are you a drinker, family history, cancer, heart disease, so on and so forth. And what it does is, in the morning when you hit the snooze button, it, in the most delicate of whispers, tells you statistically how long it will be until you die. You have 350,000 hours, 12 minutes, 4 seconds till you're dead and gone and forgotten and full of worms. That's a solution. Toilets are a problem in this world of ours. You know the expression, like, I almost peed my pants? And then, versus the expression, I almost pooped my pants. And you say it, in all sorts of situations, like that joke is funny, I almost pissed my pants. I was thinking about it, and I have never even come close to almost peeing my pants. Never. It doesn't even happen, but we say it. And I know I'm male, so we have kind of more accessibility to bathrooms and so on and so forth. But when it comes to almost shitting my pants, it's like 3 times a week. It's like a recurring problem that I have. And you do it in one of these typically. You put it in a porta potty, which, we have things like the Hubble Space Telescope. We have, we landed a probe on a comet. We have Snapchat. We have Froyo. We have all these inventions. And yet, this is essentially a bucket of crap in a field which you sit on. That's all it is. That's it. That's the culmination of human ingenuity right there. It's a performance art, really, when you get in those things. Because there's always a line, right? There's always a line. And, if it normally takes you a minute to go, if there's like 5 people in line, then you have to go at 5 times the speed, meaning you have to go in like 12 seconds. And if you plot that data on the splishy splash line graph, you'll see that the chances of water hitting you is directly proportional to the feces velocity. So it's a nightmare. Like, have you ever looked in there before? You ever looked down in it? Of course you have. Everybody does. It's the first thing you do. You look down there. You can't help it. It's like making eye contact with the devil. Scary, I have a solution to this problem, however. Yeah, and public restrooms, kind of the same deal. It's a nightmare. It's funny because you go into these things and it's terrible and awful, and then they have these sheets, which are just a joke, the sanitary sheet. My favorite thing is when you take the sanitary sheet and it's an automated flush, and it keeps sucking it down before you can sit down. So you're trying to sit before it takes the sheet away. It's like playing musical chairs with Skynet. I have a solution, however. I call it Uber Shits. Yeah. I don't have to explain it. Basically, you have an app, you call a car, picks you up, and if it's a real emergency, they just sound the siren and take you where you need to go. To a nice bathroom. Maybe somebody's Airbnb. You can go in there, make it a, kind of a partnership. And instead of a sad, miserable, unsanitary, scary experience, it will be kind of a party. Problem solved. Microwaves are also a problem. I have a very, very old microwave, and it has 2 primary things that are wrong with it. Number 1, the countdown timer. What it does is it counts down, and when it gets to the end of its timer, it beeps. And I don't like the beep. I don't want to hear the beep. I can't handle the beep. I have to stop it. So rather than chopping vegetables or doing something in the kitchen, the last minute I'm spent just staring at the goddamn timer, waiting to hit the button and stop it. My solution, silent mode on your microwave. Again, this is not big science. This is small science. This is pragmatic science. This is oatmeal science. Problem number 1. Problem number 2, the buttons. So I don't understand what it is about the buttons on my microwave, but it's like a time capsule into the Cold War, what we ate then, right? Like, what did you eat during the Cuban Missile Crisis? That's what's on your microwave. Like, oh, I'll go for a casserole tonight. Like, who eats this stuff? And furthermore, like, my favorite's the roast button. Who makes a roast in the goddamn microwave? Makes no sense. I don't need these buttons. And I have a very elegant solution to this problem, and I call it the shit yeah I'm hungry button. It's just minute plus. Boop, 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 minute plus. That's all it is. And then open the door. Problem solved. Microwave revolutionized. Genders are a problem. This is a big one. I'm sure you know how this works. A man groans in the dark for a couple minutes, and a woman gets pregnant. And she kind of gets the shitty end of that whole deal for the most part. I mean, you have let's call it a solid 3.5 minutes of fun, and then the women have 9 months of carrying this shrieking amniotic pig goblin inside themselves. It's not fair. Not fair at all. But you know what is fair? Flatworms are fair. How flatworm biology works, and I say we through gene therapy or something, we mimic flatworm biology and the biology of the human being. How flatworm biology works is all flatworms are born as hermaphrodites, and they swim around the ocean as hermaphrodites, and they all, despite being hermaphrodites, are born with 2 penises. One of those penises is a sword penis used for stabbing, and the other one is just a penis for normal penis things. And how it works is when they encounter each other, they engage in what's called penis fencing, which is exactly what it sounds like. They fight. And whoever gets stabbed with the sword penis first, they stab him, and then they use the other penis, and they get him pregnant. Whoever that is becomes the female and carries it to term and loses. That's fair. That's better. That's where gender equality needs to go in this world of ours. The last one is literally a gigantic problem. It's Andromeda. It's a galaxy. It's the closest galaxy to our own Milky Way. And it's bigger than our galaxy, but less interesting. Like, there's less stuff blowing up and less, like, violence and free healthcare. It's sort of the Canada of galaxies is what the astrophysicists call it. The problem with Andromeda is it's actually on a collision course with our own Milky Way galaxy. In about 4 billion years, Andromeda is going to merge with the Milky Way, which is not as cataclysmic as it sounds. Most of the stars are so far apart they would never actually touch. Our own solar system might actually be kind of unaffected. Obviously, the night sky would change pretty dramatically, but for the most part, we'd be fine. The problem that I have with this whole scenario is astrophysicists have come up with a name for the new galaxy, and they're naming it Milkomeda, which I hate that name. I don't know what it is. I hate it. I read it as Milko Media, as some crappy startup that like delivers dairy to your house via a smartphone. I hate it. It's rotten. It's terrible. I don't like the name. I have a solution to this problem. I mean, we're talking about like, the biggest rebranding possibility in 4 billion years, and we're going with Milkomeda. It's a nightmare. So my solution to this terrible problem involves Jupiter. What we do is we take Jupiter and we throw it into the sun. And so Jupiter is composed mostly of hydrogen and helium, and the sun, coincidentally, burns hydrogen and helium. So there are 2 outcomes to this brilliant plan of mine, and as an esteemed member of the astrophysics community, of which I am not, I think this will work. We throw it in, and scenario 1 is our sun is dying as well. In about 4 billion years, actually, our sun is going to run out of fuel, slowly expand, and, kill us all. So my solution is if we throw Jupiter in there, we can reignite it for a short while and buy ourselves some time so we can come up with a cooler name. I was just messing around for like 5 minutes, and I already have a bunch of names. The Freedom Galaxy, Birthplace of Jesus, Abraham Lincoln and Ranch Dressing, Milky Way 2, and my personal favorite, shit, yeah, our galaxy is huge now. That's from 5 minutes of work. Imagine we had another billion years to think about this. We could have a really good name for this galaxy. That's outcome number 1. Outcome number 2 of throwing Jupiter into the sun, because this is not an exact science, is it would actually produce a coronal mass ejection from the ignition of Jupiter, a big one. And this which is basically a solar flare, this would turn that beautiful pale blue dot of ours into a horrible agonizing ball of fire. And it would kill everything and everyone you've ever loved. Why is this a solution? Because that is still better than Milkomeda. Now, I presented you with my problems. I've delivered the solutions. Thank you very much. Praise Jibbers. Thank you.
I'm small. I'd like to invite our judges to come up on the stage, and while they're getting settled, I will explain the rules of the evening that will unfold before us. Our judges are going to be looking at our presenters' presentations, along with you, and then they're going to be subjecting our presenters to some grueling questions, and the oral defense will be part of their judgment. So they're going to judge based on 3 criteria. Number 1, force of science. How much science is in the presentation? How sciencey is it? How many charts, graphs, citations? Is it science-tastic enough? Number 2, artistry. Is there enough originality? Is the premise clever enough? Is the presentation and delivery sufficiently convincing and charismatic to overwhelm our sense of critical thinking? Third criterion, strength of defense. So how well does the presenter hold up under the hot and heavy fire of our judges' skepticism? Our judges will then pick their top 3 presentations based on those criteria. Their number 1 personal choice will receive 3 points. Their second choice will receive 2 points. Their third choice will receive a single point, and everybody else will have to scrape along with 0. This is where you guys come in. The audience vote will also assign 3 points to the number 1 choice, as determined. Guys, I'm so excited about this. It's a sound measurer. So we're going to be asking you guys to applaud for your favorite presentations. We'll take the decibel reading. I'll report it to Zach. Again, same system. Number 1 person receives 3 points. Number 2, 2. Number 3, 1. Other presenters, 0. We will then secretly tabulate the results. By the way, in the event of a tie, the very unlikely event of a tie, we will take another audience vote, and the decibels will determine the winner. So I hope you all brought your yelling lungs this evening. Now, it's important to know what's at stake here. This is very real. Our prize this evening is this lovely 3D printed bust of Thomas Edison looking grumpy and saying, okay. Which I think we can all agree is a treasure to be cherished. There will also be a cash prize. Winner takes all. Everything's on the line, folks. Now, before we get to our presenters, I'd like to introduce our lovely judges for this evening. To the left, we have Keith Rosema, a physicist, rocket scientist, and entrepreneur. Seems kind of braggy, whatever. Keith currently runs the Vulcan Proving Ground, an organization to turn far-out tech ideas into viable companies. Among the many things he has done, he has encrypted your email. Hopefully you didn't read it first. He has sent spacecraft to asteroids, and he has also shot mosquitoes with lasers, which seems kind of unfair. Now, Keith, given the depth and subtlety and the breadth of your experience in science and technology and in spacecraft, I wanted to ask you, Star Wars or Star Trek, and why? Note my shirt so you know which way I lean.
Star Trek for sure.
All right, Star Trek for sure. What, any reason why?
Spock.
Yeah. I think that's reason enough. Our second judge for this evening is Julianne Dalcanton. She is an astrophysicist at the University of Washington. She studies formation of galaxies with the Hubble telescope. She got her undergraduate degree in physics at MIT and her PhD at Princeton. So Julianne, I wanted to ask you, if the Hubble Space Telescope were a human being, what would its worst personality trait be?
Star Trek.
It's no problem for me, but presenters, look out. All right. Our third presenter for this judge for this evening will be Abby Howard. Abby is the creator of the fabulous webcomics, including the autobiographical Junior Scientist Power Hour, as well as the graphic novel The Last Halloween. This is the part where Abby is more qualified than I am. She studied evolutionary biology at McGill University. Abby, because we have a captive audience here, I want to know, what is the most underappreciated dinosaur, and why should it be our favorite? This is your chance.
Oh, boy. Okay, I'm going to get real here. If you guys have heard of Culindrodromeus, it was kind of a recent discovery, but it's one of my favorites because it is not a theropod and it has feathers, or feather-like structures that are extremely like feathers. And that means that feathers go farther back than theropods in dinosaur evolution, and that means that even more dinosaurs were fluffy and everybody can go screw themselves.
I told you you'd like your question.
Just so you know, Culindrodromeus is an ancestor of ceratopsians, which is like Triceratops. Probably had quills, I guess now. We know that.
Really?
So just thought you should know.
I'll sleep easier tonight. Well, it is officially time to get the show underway, so let's welcome our first speaker. Michael Anderson is a First Amendment lawyer from Boston, Massachusetts. He wants you all to know that he got a 5 on his physics AP exam in high school. Boom!
When the Boston Red Sox finally won the World Series, a big reason was my hero, Tim Wakefield, the last of the old-time knuckleball pitchers. The knuckleball is grounded in chaos theory. You throw it flat, without spin, so the seams pick up unpredictable turbulence, and the ball seems to dance in the air. And the batter doesn't know where the pitch is going, because, hey, Tim Wakefield doesn't know where the pitch is going. If you love something, set it free. But Wakefield retired, and now the Sox are back at the bottom of the league. So, to bring him back, the Red Sox have got to build a large Hadron Collider around Fenway Park in Boston. Okay, and I realize that this is gonna mean we have to dig out for 17 miles under the city, but whatever. I mean, we'll just tell people that it's part of the highway tunnel project. And that's been going on forever. So come on, who's gonna know the difference? Nobody, that's right. And when Wakefield is pitching, we're gonna run billions of supercharged protons in both directions around the circuit. And we're going to accelerate everything out to near light speed and then run them through modified radar guns at opposite sides of the infield. And the collisions are going to create an invisible cloud of subatomic fireworks crackling like popcorn between the pitcher's mound and home plate. Now, this is going to have some interesting effects on the space-time continuum. Because, you see, these collisions end up tearing the velocity fields apart like silly putty. And some theoretical models say that we are actually creating tiny black holes that turn space-time into Swiss cheese. And that, my friends, is the kind of an environment a knuckleball pitcher can go to work in. So when Wakefield comes back, throwing through a primordial soup of muons and leptons and quarks, oh my, if we can recreate the first moments of cosmic inflation in front of the strike zone, then whoa, Nelly, you are gonna see some funky movement on that pitch. I mean, nasty lateral break, unpredictable vertical drop. I mean, that ball is gonna be unhittable. And Wakefield is gonna be throwing into 12-dimensional Hilbert space, which means he will unlock the multiverse. And like Shiva, he will throw many dancing worlds of fire past every lineup in the American League. And okay, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that the commissioner of baseball is going to say that this is cheating. But look at the rule. The rule says that you're not allowed to doctor the baseball. And we're not touching the ball. We're just complicating the structure of space-time in front of home plate. And this is already legal in every stadium in America. The home fans are allowed to generate a massive wave phenomenon to distract the opposing batters. And all we're doing is the wave on a subatomic level. And this is gonna liberate the democratic spirit of baseball. Because now the ordinary folks who come out to throw the first pitch, well, with the Hadron Collider, they can go all 9 innings. And once we solve the problem of space-time, every citizen of Boston can be in the starting rotation. If you love something, set it free. And there will be those who say that we can't afford to do this. But my friends, I say we can't afford not to. Because when the evil empire comes to town with their astronomical salaries, we have to use the force to fight back. So a large Hadron Collider is going to be $10 billion. Beating the Yankees, priceless. Thank you.
All right, Michael, are you prepared for the oral defense portion of your presentation? All right, Keith, do you want to start us off?
So we have our own tunnel project here. So what are you going to do for the Seahawks?
Well, with the Seahawks, I think what you need to do is take a page out of the Patriots playbook. But instead of taking the air out of the football, which is kind of a vulgar Newtonian solution, you should manipulate the barometric pressure in the Puget Sound area so that the relative pressure is a little bit softer.
All right.
So I'd like to come at this from a human interest side, which is about spectator safety. First of all, these colliders work by having very large magnetic fields which focus the path of the positrons. And we already have metal detectors, so I think we're good there. Right. They also take place in vacuum.
Right.
I think the lack of air. Do you have a plan for that one?
Yeah, well, in the first place, unlike the CERN collider, we don't need to measure any of these collisions. So if we just have billions of positrons heading at light speed at each other, something's gonna happen. Okay, and the other part is that, you know, in Fenway Park, we're used to holding our breath.
Now, if we're going to be dealing with multiple dimensions here, how do you intend to solve the issue of immigration from multiple timelines of almost exclusively baseball players with no other skills besides throwing a ball, I suppose? I mean, not to say that's a bad skill.
Right, no, but that can only help us, you know, because then it's like we get more draft picks that way. You know, and it's also that with the time travel involved and all that, what you see from the outside as a perfect game is really just a million pitches where you cherry pick out the good ones.
Any follow-up questions? No? All right, everybody, please thank
you.
Michael for his presentation. So tiny. Our second speaker is Tom Nugent. He's a co-founder of Laser Motive, which commercializes optical wireless power. What did you do this morning? He has studied and researched space transportation technology at NASA Jet Propulsion Lab, MIT, and elsewhere. He has also killed mosquitoes with lasers at Intellectual Ventures Labs. What do you guys have against mosquitoes? Give them a chance to fight back. Please welcome Tom.
Good evening. I am here with a very serious proposal, modest proposal, to solve a problem that is facing us around the world, and that is rising ocean levels. As we know, global warming is causing the oceans to rise currently at a rate of 3 millimeters per year. And for everyone locally, that's the equivalent to taking our local Lake Washington and adding it to the world's oceans every day. And this causes problems around the world, especially for those in low-lying coastal regions. This causes problems not only in flooding of these areas, but in significant dislocations to people's daily routines. Perhaps the most frightening of the possible implications of rising ocean levels is the possibility of another Kevin Costner movie. There have been solutions suggested, such as coming to an international agreement among all nations to agree on reducing emissions to reduce the warming that produces rising ocean levels. And that may happen, and in the immortal words of Wayne Campbell, maybe monkeys will fly out of my butt. There have also been the suggestion of using geoengineering to reduce the Earth's albedo, which can also cause a cooling effect to stop the warming. People have said that this is just a Band-Aid. However, humanity has a very long history of applying Band-Aids to major problems, so, why stop now? So my suggestion is to use superabsorbent polymers, materials that can absorb up to 50 times of their own volume in water. You put these in the ocean, then you take the water out and you put it somewhere else. These products are already in use in sandbags, sweatbands, and diapers. And so I think that the name for this is very clear. We'll just call them the Global Sweatband. And marketing of this, I think, will be very clear and easy. So the current annual production of these would be equivalent to absorbing about 1.5 billion cubic meters per year, which I represent by the small pile of diapers on the left. Global production would need to be increased by about a factor of 730, represented by the pile on the right. Now, the motivations, the economic incentives we'll use, will cause that production to ramp up over a couple, 2 to 3 decades or more. In the interim, we can reuse the existing store of these superabsorbent polymers. And the way we do that is we can excavate used diapers from landfills. This has three benefits. Not only are you reducing the volume in the landfills, you're also reducing the water that's in the ocean by using these diapers. And finally, you're using the natural contents of those diapers to fertilize the ocean, causing algal blooms, and now you're also sequestering carbon. Ongoing usage of these can spur new businesses, such as those that would take drones to carry the diapers from your house directly to the ocean. So not only will your house smell better, you'll be fighting global ocean rise. The final question or objection that comes up to this is, where do we locate all of these absorbent polymers in the global sweatbands? It'll have to be someplace that is very undesirable, that no one really at all cares about, or at least not that anyone we know really cares about. Therefore, the logical place is, of course, California. Thank you.
Tom, are you prepared to orally defend your ideas?
As ready as I'll ever be.
All right. Judges at will.
So I have some concerns. Obviously, these super absorbing polymers are very hydrophilic. They draw water from anything they touch. So what happens to all those fish?
It will help bring more of the iodine that's in fish into our diets. They'll just be caught up, and we'll add them in as we collect them and help with the harvesting of fish that we need anyway for our own diets.
Have you calculated whether the supply of babies is sufficient to maintain this?
This gets very deeply into the economic motivations of all of this. As many economists have argued over the decades, people and humanity are our greatest asset. And in fact, the new people that would be produced as part of the economic incentive to generate more diapers would grow up to be some of the amazing scientists to solve even more problems down the road. So I think it is a win-win situation.
Are you at all concerned that fish, especially predatory species, might soon become attracted to the smell of children's diapers? Are you concerned they might decide to come up on land to find more?
I think you've stumped me with that one. I'll admit that I had, of the many problems to solve with this, that was one that had not occurred to me.
It could
However,
solve our overpopulation issue, which would, of course, become an issue if we were producing more infants.
It could. You could have the babies generate the diapers, and then the land-evolved sharks would then take them away before you have to deal with the loud noises that Matt referred to before. So, yeah. So now that's win-win-win.
Thank you, Tom. Our next presenter is Heather Hines. She holds a master's in biology from Villanova University and an undergraduate degree in zoology and Spanish. She currently teaches biology at a community college in San Diego, and she taught English for 2 years in Japan. Please welcome Heather to the stage.
Artificial intelligence is a booming field of research which has made huge leaps in the past 50 years. As early as 1997, we begin to see the development of complex AI systems like the chess-playing Deep Blue and its sophisticated successor, Clippy. Recent advances in neural networks show unexpected emergent behavior. Google's most advanced AI is putting artists out of work by generating horrifying, surrealist artwork. Don't be fooled. Clippy may look benign, but our team believes that he is a conniving bastard, and we don't trust him at all. No, we were not trying to send an email, thank you very much. He clearly has ulterior motives. One shudders to imagine what inhumane thoughts lie behind this nefarious facade. Where was I? Oh yes. We investigate the threat of a self-propagating, self-aware sentience and outline a defense against such an imminent threat. To begin, we modeled the probability over time that an existent AI will develop generalized sentience, thus becoming self-aware. This model is informed by data such as the rate of publication in the field of AI, the complexity of modern neural networks and neural network software, and an indirect measure that we like to call the Google Creepiness Index. Shows that the probability of an artificial sentience emerging converges on 1, or certainty, in the next 8 to 11 years. Even more alarming, as software becomes more complex, the number of bugs per line of code also increases. And so the probability of a bug arising that makes the sentience evil approaches 1 over time. Naturally, we conclude that the AI will be bent on human destruction. We see this as hard evidence of the dangers posed by creepy AIs with internet access. Would you feel safe with this AI in your community? No. A major threat of such a sentience is its ability to self-propagate. So we next estimate the speed at which a sentience could spread from computer to computer. As a model organism, we use another non-biological self-propagating entity. Oh, not cats, rather, but memes. Using our preliminary funding, we designed a series of optimally viral memes and tracked them in a longitudinal study of their diffusion through databases such as Reddit, Imager, and 4chan. Our team of graduate students was thrilled to be paid to do what they were already doing anyway. Don't know what to do. We found that at maximum virality, meme saturation was reached on the order of days or even hours. This occurred with our best test subjects, shown here. Considering the threat of an artificial sentience and its inevitable evilness, my team and I are very concerned. So, we've created the world's first countermeasure, the Artificial Sentience Defense System. This is an automated defense system that seeks out artificial sentiences and destroys them. We subjected this system to an intense training regimen of AI identification and destruction by housing AIs in an isolated network and allowing the defense system to repeatedly target and destroy the Clippies, the AIs. This extensive testing regimen generated many terabytes of artificial sentience countermeasures data before our facilities were shut down by the Association for the Humane Treatment of AIs. Our defense system is a powerful tool for detecting evil sentiences. But, much like a vaccine, it can only protect computers and servers on which it is installed. we recognize that for whatever reason, some individuals may not be comfortable vaccinating their computers with our defense system. I don't know why. For this reason, we have been working with some of the top world governments to enforce mandatory deployment of our defense system on computers worldwide. It will be expensive, but we propose to pay for our program by eliminating all national cybersecurity funding, which, I mean, it's going to be obsolete anyway once the defense system is in place. Seeing as we are still waiting for the governments to return our phone calls, we have preemptively programmed our defense system to spread itself from computer network to computer network, much the same way that computer viruses and worms do. Now, our justification for using such a normally dangerous mechanism to spread our defense system is, what could go wrong? Anyway, our model shows that an evil sentience will have 3 principal characteristics. Firstly, it will display learning. Also, self-modification and future prediction. Now, our artificial sentience defense system uses a genetic algorithm to train a smart neural network to detect AIs. This adaptive neural network code is fully self-maintaining and requires no human intervention. Yeah. Our system further uses its neural network to predict incipient sentience in order to take aggressive preventative action. Now, the idea of an imminent, self-propagating rogue AI is terrifying. The good news is that our defense system is in fact already available. We have chosen this event as the launch of the artificial sentience defense system. You will all be relieved to know that through my smartphone, I have released this defense system. Congratulations, about 87% of you are now immune. Thank you.
Well, I see no potential problems with this, but how did the judges feel?
So I have some bad news. Are you aware of the publication, in the proceedings of the ACM that came out a couple of months ago? They showed an artificial intelligence unit that automatically created memes. I think it was called Clippy.
Well, see, I only had 5 minutes to announce all of the fantastic research that we've been doing, but that actually came from some of our graduate students. So thank you for letting everybody know of the research that we've been doing in this field. Thanks.
Does your artificial sentience defense system, does it like memes? Like, is it going to let them live? Am I getting cat pictures?
So when we were training the artificial sentience defense system, basically each node is a neural network. It gets input, it does different manipulations on the input, and then has output come back out. And the defense system nodes that did very well at identifying AIs, we allowed to propagate. This is a genetic algorithm. And so we noticed that some of the nodes were targeting sometimes not what we wanted them to target, but by not allowing those particular nodes to propagate, we've sort of kept them at a low-lying level. They're sort of outliers.
So cats.
Cats should be safe.
I feel as if you haven't taken it to the extreme that it needs. I really feel as if you should use the Google self-driving car idea, but put the virus somehow in the car.
No, there's a defense system. It detects. It detects sentences.
But see,
And
it
then-
could
and then
drive
it
to
destroys
someone's
them.
house if they refused, perhaps, to have this normal not
defense
virus,
system.
defense
Yeah,
system,
yes,
yes,
right.
into the car to drive to their house
Okay.
and install it from the street, perhaps.
Are there
And I
any-
mean, of course, it would be a very safe driver. I'm sure it would be fine.
Yeah. If any of you happens to be related to this sort of self-driving car initiative, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. We might get a great collaborative thing together, and then we can all be remembered in history for this great stride forward.
Of course, it may also be a good idea to arm the car somehow, because I feel like the anti-defense system initiative might be a little bit violent. And of course, they're humans, so they have more to defend themselves with than a car.
And in case of a zombie apocalypse, it's also like a backup.
So, like, put some knives on it.
Okay, knives, lasers.
On the car that
Wait, we
drives
know
itself.
laser people. We,
You save those woos for later. We're going to need them. Our next speaker is Kristen Rowan. She is a preschool teacher and stand-up comedian from Portland, Oregon, so she's used to dealing with large crowds of people with impaired critical thinking skills. One of my favorite of her recent tweets is, quote, "Global warming has turned the weather into an open mic comedian." So she's used to thinking at a global level. Please welcome Kristen.
Well, I have some questions, yeah. It's not moving.
Sorry. Oh, God.
We're good? Yes, that's mine. Okay, good. Okay, don't worry, everyone. I come from a family of nerds, so I know what I'm talking about. I'd like to start my presentation off by sharing my inspiration. The plant in the picture is named Mr. Fletcher. He has not always been this happy and healthy. He's actually a houseplant. You can't tell in this picture, but this is from a trip that we went on together, is where we got this picture. But he's had a very hard life. He almost died when he was young because he was attacked by a cat. Another time, he almost died due to frostbite. And so my invention was to help him, but also to help plants everywhere, because plants everywhere are having a hard time right now thanks to deforestation, pollution, climate change. And on top of that, more and more plants are moving into cities out of their natural habitat and living as houseplants, isolated. And not many people know this, but plants are actually very social creatures. They don't talk like with words like we do, but they do use pheromones. And so I've put up a few examples of pheromones that they use commonly. Methyl jasmonate is a very common one, which basically means, translated into human, I'm feeling sick, take your vitamins, everybody. Ethylene, which roughly translates into, look how pretty my flowers are. It's like a selfie, but for plants. And then there's charikins, which are a class of pheromones that basically mean, ugh, my life sucks. And so I thought, why can't these sad and lonely plants just do what sad and lonely people do and use social media? And social media kind of gets a bad rap, but there was a survey done in 2012 with 1,000 teenagers, which are really not that different from plants when you think about it. And it found the teenagers said that social media made them happier and closer to their friends. So I've created a telephytocommunic ring. This is what it looks like. The plant just has to wear it on a leaf or a stem, a branch, and it can communicate with plants all over the world. It can send pheromones to each other. Here's how it works. Down here on the left, there's the pheromone detector, and that's what creates electropherograms. So the plant itself, this is how it sends the pheromones to other plants. And so the electropherogram will go over the cellular network to any other plants that are wearing this ring. Up here is the motherboard, which contains information about the electropherograms. And then over here we have the atmospheric chemical pumps, which brings in like nitrogen, carbon, everything that you need to create a pheromone, basically. So it brings all of this into the ring, and it sends it into the chemical accelerator. This gets it going fast enough, with the help of electromagnets, to send it into the chemical collider, which is how the pheromones are created. Then the pheromones are sent out through the dispenser, and so the plant can read the messages it's receiving from plants anywhere in the world. And then obviously this takes a whole lot of energy, so there's a fission nuclear reactor. One of the big worries I've heard about this project is that it will be very expensive, but it's actually not very expensive. This is the most expensive part, is the Hadron Collider. But as you can see, mine is only about 3 inches. So with some simple math, you can see that it's only a fraction of a penny for each ring. And here's just a few of the prototypes that I've made in action. You can see Mr. Fletcher in the middle on the top, and then 5 of his friends. And with your support, I would like to have as many friends from Mr. Fletcher as I can. Thank you all for your time.
Kristen, are you ready?
Yeah.
Judges, bring it on.
So, you know, the rise of Facebook caused a whole bunch of new social dynamics to appear. You know, kids don't want their parents to friend them, and you go to a lot of effort to make or not make your boss see your Facebook page and things like that. So I'm wondering what social dynamics you expect to come out of this experiment. You know, are trees and algae the same as your houseplants? Or, you know, palm trees or seaweed? You know, how does that all fit together?
Well, I think that plants experience a lot of the same emotions, like all together. Like they all speak in the same pheromones. So I would think that they should all be friends. That's how it works.
All one big happy family.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the development of a successful social network, it's important that you have early adopters and influencers, and these are normally 13-year-old girls. Mm-hmm. So who are the 13-year-old girls at the Plant Kingdom?
Well, I mean, Mr. Fletcher's about 13 years old, and he's very attractive, as you can see. So he's going to attract a lot of some you know, teenage plants, yeah.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Our next presenter this evening is Murad Serafi. He is an undergraduate in mathematics at UC Berkeley currently. He's also worked at the Berkeley Quantum Information and Computation Center. On his resume, it says that his hobby is entering prestigious math and comp sci competitions. In conversation with him personally, he says that it's playing with cats. His passion is promoting diversity in higher math. Please welcome Murad.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. So I'm here to talk about my solution to world peace. So let's just do that. So first, we need to look at some of the world's biggest problems, as some previous participants have done. First up, we have a growing trash problem. We have global warming, as noted by the same photo in another presentation. We have a need for a new popular clean energy source. And personally, I think worst of all, we have clogged garbage disposal units. There have been previous proposals, burning trash, which is bad for environment, solar panels, or just compost bins. But let's just face it, we need one solution that solves everything. So for that, we are introducing a heavyweight solution. We are introducing black holes. That's right. As again noted before, we are using black holes. And you might ask, how is this possible? So let's think back at the time when black holes were in the media, more commonly. It was when LHC was going through some upgrades, and they thought black holes could be generated with a probability of 1 in 5,000, which is just 100 black holes per year. So first of all, we need to create more CERNs, outsource to China. Then we can introduce Black Hole to Go. Black Hole to Go is a self-contained, low-mass black hole designed to consume waste, pure energy to return absolutely no waste products, literally highest energy yield possible. So let's look at some technical specs. It might be complicated, maybe unless you're a professor in the audience, it would be hard. So let's just skip that. We have a blueprint here. This is a prototype. As you can clearly see, we are using technologies used in CERN to contain antimatter. It's right there, those magnets. And the trash goes right in the middle, right there. We are also using thermoelectric cells similar to those on the Curiosity rover that use Hawking radiation to generate electricity. You can plug it into your grid and just use electricity. We actually have USB ports for charging your phone. We have realized that this is a big idea. So with that, there are probably other use cases. So there are many other applications, infinite potential, such as CO2-free cars. You can put one tiny black hole in your exhaust system. We can use it to suppress forest fires by just dropping a black hole in the middle of the fire, which immediately sucks in all the oxygen and puts down the fire. We can use our black holes as a way to defend against potential asteroids. We just put a black hole in a rocket, shoot it to the asteroid, and boom, done. We can use it as a novel replacement for cremation. You can be turned into pure energy that powers your household for years. And this one is my favorite. You can use it for disposing cat litter. It doesn't smell. Odorless cat litter disposal. It's great. So, there are other applications. Some of them have been introduced in previous presentations. There are some pros and cons of any idea, so let's look at some of those. I think the biggest one is that it never clogs. The first con is that recovery of anything that you accidentally lose is literally impossible. So you have to be careful. If you lose your wedding ring, you might as well jump right in after. And even with outsourcing to China, there is a problem of very high cost. And for that, we need your help. we have created a Kickstarter project with a goal of $13 billion. We have some terrific perks. For the first 100 people, for $100,000, you can buy a golden black hole. That's a limited edition, so buy it before it's gone. After that, for $150,000, you can get a mahogany paneled black hole that fits perfectly with any kitchen interior. Also, we have keychains for $13. We just need to sell, 1 billion of those, which, given that this is, I think, the biggest invention since the discovery of fire, we can definitely do it. Of course, there are some open issues. This is a scientific project, so we are still working on some details that you might already have in your mind. For instance, if two black hole-to-go units are accidentally entangled, we will have black holes, which means when you drop something in your black hole, it could pop out of somebody else's kitchen. This is not ideal, so we are working on it, but in the meanwhile, you can play tennis through the wormhole. And another problem is that the end of life of a black hole coincides with a violent explosion. So we suggest sending your black hole to the closest desert, please not California. Or put it on a rocket and send it to space. Just be careful not to shoot for the moon, please. Thank you very much.
Once again, a flawless concept of boundless potential. Judges.
Where's that bound? First a couple comments. I think you should talk with Tom about what to do with all his SAPs. You might be able to figure out.
Yeah, we've already exchanged contacts. Yeah.
And I thought Kristen did a better job on budgeting, so she could probably help you there. But you mentioned a bunch of important world problems. You didn't mention the one that actually causes me the most problem, which is parking in your neighborhood. And I noticed that mostly parking is occupied by car-to-goes right now. And I'm wondering if black hole-to-go might be able to help me with the car-to-go problem.
Well, we take that into consideration. That's a good idea. One thing is that we could potentially use those wormholes such that when you want to park, you send your car through the black hole that ends up somewhere else in a desert, and then when you're done, you phone that somebody over there and sends your car back into the black hole, and you have it back.
That'd be excellent.
So in terms of getting people to adopt what is an obviously terrifying bit of technology, have you considered some sort of attractive packaging?
Yes, we're contacting some of the best designers in San Francisco. I'm myself from Berkeley, so we are close. Also, I don't think it's that dangerous. Even fire came with its problems. We can handle it. It's okay.
It just seems like if the delivery truck goes over one bump,
Isn't there a 55-pound limit on packages? You can't ship things that are more than 55 pounds.
That is a good.
It's not 55 pounds when he delivers it. It's only after you've been using it.
We can use that energy, convert it to, some way of propelling the black hole off ground and just ship the black hole on its own energy. That could work.
I feel like you may have overlooked one very small con, and that's murder. I feel like would get very easy.
A true perfect crime, isn't it? Yes, that's something we've been considering. In fact, we've been contacted by some military personnel, but I can assure you that if we actually reached the $13 billion, there is no need that we would need support from military organizations. So please do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob. We have arrived at our final presenter for the evening. Please welcome to the stage Neil Joyer, who is a software engineer, skeptic, and science enthusiast. So I think you've got some friends in the audience, Neil.
Let's talk about ghosts. Some of the oldest documents known to man state the existence of ghosts, from the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead to the Gospel of Matthew. Even today, belief in ghosts is prevalent. Now, that's a very long period of belief in ghosts. And yet, in terms of actual evidence of ghosts, most of the scientific community considers the evidence substandard or indeed writes it off altogether. Now, I believe that that is because research in this area has been severely underfunded. So I got to thinking, what could the scientific community do if it could get proper funding? Are there techniques from other fields of study that could be leveraged? So with that in mind, I'd like to propose a new program, properly funded to scientifically and rigorously investigate the existence of ghosts. The Center for Ectoplasmic Research National or CERN for short, would be an international organization, bringing together the very best scientists of our day. It would have many different means of investigating ghosts, but primarily it would be responsible for designing, building, and operating the Large Human Collider. The idea of the Large Human Collider is actually borrowed from particle physics, where it's been extremely successful and made many significant breakthroughs. However, the concept is simple. You get two humans moving extremely fast in opposite directions. Then you get their paths to intersect. I've spoken with many experts in the field, and they all agree that this method would be consistent with virtually every theory for the creation of ghosts. A human collider has actually been tried before. Unfortunately, due to the limited technology available at the time, they were unable to get to very high levels of energy. Fortunately, due to modern science and modern technology, we can get to much higher levels of energy, which should be sufficient for the creation of ghosts. For example, take a cart with a seat on it, guided down metal tracks. This has shown it can get a human up to a high speed on a predictable course. Another technology is a plastic tube through which a blast of water can carry a human. The water lubricates the plastic, again, resulting in high speeds. Now, either of these technologies might be suitable for our needs, but I myself will do extensive primary testing to determine which we should pursue. Now, both of these technologies have the added bonus that they've shown they can attract willing volunteers. That's important because we're going to need lots of volunteers. In order to get to a high degree of scientific confidence, we may need as many as 100 collisions per second. So I ran this proposal by a psychiatrist friend of mine, and she mentioned there might be some IRB concerns. So it turns out if your research project uses humans, you need to pass some ethics hurdles. Now, I asked around about this ethics thing. The feedback that I got was, you can do pretty much whatever you want as long as you have fully informed volunteers. Now, what I'm hoping is that we can make up for in enthusiasm what we may lack in fully informed. our backup plan would be to build the Large Human Collider somewhere where ethics don't exist, international waters. Unfortunately, if we go for this option, we'll have to revise our budget estimate significantly upwards. To establish CERN, I propose a budget of $40 billion. And that gets broken down as follows. $500 million to design and build the Large Human Collider, $200 million for ongoing administrative and operations costs, about $19 billion for the ghost detection technology. I'll go into more detail on why that's so expensive shortly. The remainder, about $20 billion, would endow a legal fund for any unforeseen legal needs. So we have our ghost creation point. All around that, we need to place ghost detectors, resulting in a large sphere of ghost detection. Then, as the ghosts escape outwards from the ghost creation point, they pass through the ghost detectors. We can record the exact time that a ghost passes through any one of the detectors, and then feed that data into a sophisticated algorithm. That should allow us to model the ghost creation rate as well as map common ghost movement patterns. Now, what can we use for the ghost detectors? We did an analysis of all the existing ghost detection technology that we can leverage today, and we found just about what you'd expect. Places that are old and creepy are the best candidates. It also helps if someone famous died there or if lots of people famously died there. Examples could include old mansions, insane asylums, old churches, Indian burial sites, or battlefields. Now, we plan to combine these elements to create the very best in ghost detection technology. For example, take a battlefield and move an insane asylum onto it. Then scatter some creepy doll heads around. That should give us the very best chance of detecting ghosts. Unfortunately, these compound detection environments are extremely expensive, which is probably why this hasn't been tried before. Now, this is just a detection environment. To turn it into a detector, we need to add an observer. So we did some analysis to determine which observers most reliably report detecting ghosts. The observers that we found that most reliably detect ghosts are young children running in terror. So in conclusion, if we can get the proper funding, we can build the Large Human Collider, we can surround it by the very best in ghost detection technology, and once and for all find proof of ghosts, or at least evidence of ghosts. And if we don't find any evidence of ghosts, then in fact we'll have proven that ghosts do not exist. So do ghosts exist? Let's find out. Thank you.
Neil, I'm married to an attorney, so that plan looks great. What do our judges think?
So, as you know, detector physics are extremely difficult. And I noticed you have a lot of detectors that will detect a count or an energy level, but may not detect the relative evil of any particular ghost or not. And you know, many ghosts are evil, but there's the occasional Casper in there. And so, you know, given the particles you're colliding, I'm not sure, you might just generate a whole stream of Caspers and not come up with anything. How's that going to work?
Interesting. Well, we think that with our chosen observers that they'll be very sensitive and we can monitor different things about them to determine, you know, how they're reacting to the ghosts that are present.
Are you proposing to float your battlegrounds on the international waters?
Like I said,
I didn't quite follow that part.
Yeah, so we also need some beneath the detector, or the collider as well. So we're going to have a large sphere of them. We have some work to do to determine how much of a battlefield you actually have to move to maintain the ghost detection properties. But that's some more testing that we can do, and that should get us the answer.
And you think that ghosts are largely non-interacting particles? There aren't fields or anything that steer them, you know, or through the battleship into the mansion?
That's a good point. As we collect more data, we might determine that ghosts tend to follow a certain path, and then it could have more practical applications if we can find how to direct the ghosts. Thank you.
It was just very good.
I've ruined everything. Literature major. All right, guys, we're right down to it. The judges are going to start calculating their votes. Meanwhile, we are going to start cheering our votes. Now, because we're an undistinguished mob, we don't have to take all the considerations that the judges do into account. However, I just want to remind you the criteria. They're looking at scienciness, at the charismatic qualities of the presentation. Keep that all in mind. Likewise, we do, as humans, have a tendency to remember the thing we saw last and view it more favorably. So a quick rundown of our presentations. We had Michael Anderson first with Multiverse Knuckleballs. Save it. We have Tom Nugent with Oceanic Diapers, followed by Heather Hines with the Artificial Sentience Defense System, Kristen Rowan with Social Networking for Plants, Marad Serafi with Black Hole to Go, and then, as you saw last, we had Neil Joyer with Do Ghosts Exist? All right, now I'm going to run over those names one more time. When I raise my hand, I want you to cheer for when you hear the presentation that you thought was the most qualified, most convincing, yell your lungs out. All right. Turn it on. Let's hear it for who thought Michael had the best presentation with Knuckleballs. Okay. All right, I've reported that to Zach. It'll enter our calculations. Now, who thought that Tom Nugent with Ocean Diapers had the best presentation? Okay. All right. Next, who here felt that Heather Hines had the best with Artificial Sentience Defense System? All right, all right. I didn't get that last one, so sorry. All right, continuing on. Next we had Kristen Rowan with Social Networking for Plants. Okay. Next we had Marad Serafi with Black Hole to Go. Aw, it's like add a little 0.1 onto that. And last, Neil Joyer with Do Ghosts Exist? I'm going to bring our exciting prize back up to the stage so you can all consider what's at stake here. I also want to remind you that after the show, Zach and Matt will be signing books downstairs. They have all their delightful books available for you to purchase. Please support their sterling efforts in encouraging a skeptical mindset. All right, are you ready, Zach? Please welcome to the stage this year's champion bad ad hoc hypothesizer, Kristen Rowan with Social Networking for Plants. Show it off. Show it off. You're going to give a speech in a second here. Zach, would you like to present the cash prize? Kristen, you may now give your acceptance speech.
Well, thanks, everybody. I feel really awkward because these pockets are fake and I'm just holding a wad of cash. But thank you. I'm not complaining. Thank you. So this was for Mr. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher! Yeah!
Now, I want to offer a hearty congratulations to our other presenters who, while they are not taking home that exciting prize and suffering Nikola Tesla's fate of Thomas Edison's withering glare, you have done the least disservice to science this evening. And you have proven that our critical thinking skills have not completely atrophied. I would like to thank our judges for this evening, Keith Rosema, Julianne Dalcanton, and Abby Howard. Other thanks for this evening include Michael Johnson, Joseph Stowell and Hiveworks, Amanda Rossi, Kelly Wienersmith, Martin and Phyllis Wiener, who are watching Zach's daughter right now, Kishore Hari, Anderson Toff for printing Edison, Liz Smith, Kyle Horseman, and Andrea Tsurumi. Thank you everybody so much for coming out this evening. Go buy some books downstairs and congratulate our presenters.